thank you all for joining us for this afternoon's Town Board work session of Monday, July 21st, 2025.
Oh, you did make it.
And I would give Councilwoman a moment, and then I would ask everybody please rise for a Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, we'll start with our town board meeting items, possible consent agenda. First, we do have two public hearings this evening. First is a continuation of 564, which is the 2190 to 2200 Worley Drive Bicentennial Comprehensive Plan Amendment. My goal is going to be to open the public hearing, hear any speakers that would like to speak on the topic, and then ultimately try to close that, schedule a vote this evening, but we'll see where we get to. The next is Resolution 629, 46 to 84 South Linden Street rezoning. This was subject to a conversation, this was subject to a comprehensive plan amendment, Dan, about 4 months ago or so. Yeah. And so it's in front of us tonight for rezoning. Sean, are you presenting that? No. Who's, okay.
Jeff Palumbo.
Okay. So we'll have that presentation this evening. The items on our agenda tonight, and we do have an executive session that we'll adjourn to. The executive session includes potential settlement of litigation, and then I did not add to it because I wasn't sure if we would have an update. But we do have an update on the on two potential pending land transactions, both Gun Club and Boulevard Mall again. That shouldn't come as a surprise. We continue to talk about those. Next, again, for a potential consent agenda, first is Resolution 630. It's an amendment to the 2025-2030 Capital Improvement Program. It's a reduction of $110,000 in bonding. Ultimately, it's basically taking and revising that plan. We have a snag in purchasing playground equipment at the moment because of the discontinuance of the state bid list, and the playground equipment suppliers are on other joint bid lists, but we are probably not going to be able to buy any of that between now and the end of the year. So we are instead buying or putting that money towards more of the vehicles and equipment that we would otherwise need to purchase next year. And dealing with the pool and splash park resurfacing. We'll do that at the end of this splash pad year, along with an LED lighting project at the senior center that will create savings down the road from a change out to that. And there's some other senior center capital improvements that have to do with the mechanical systems. Basically, it's a switch over in the boiler units. So two energy savings projects at the senior center and two youth projects. With that, is there any reason not to include that in consent this evening? Okay, Resolution 631, Deputy Supervisor, you have the Blaze Stack Fire Investigation Software Contract. Is there any reason not to include that in the consent agenda? And then you also have the 632 Fire Prevention Week ad in the Amherst B. Again, any reason not to include that in consent? Council members, we've got a Board of Ethics appointment. Any reason not to include that appointment to fill Mark Carney's seat? Okay. Any reason not to include that in consent? Resolution 634 is a fireworks permit for Park Country Club. Any reason not to grant that via consent?
Supervisor, the only thing is that the resolution does say we'll designate a time for it to end. So I don't know if we want to say 11, which I think is no's ordinance. It's a 9:45 start, but the number 8 says that we shall designate a time. If we just.
I don't know why it says that,
I know
because
it-
the
okay,
town
I know it
code,
always- I know we talked about this before. I understand this is a town code. The resolution says we shall designate. Do we?
So
just say
designate that
within
at
the
11
town
o'clock.
code? I,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
that's all I would like to. Thank you.
from now on, Fran.
It's part of the way that you.
Yeah, no, I understand. I think we can say that the town board did designate for all fireworks to end by 11 PM.
Okay.
Just the way that it's written, I think it leaves question.
All right. So with that stipulation that it's 11 o'clock, is there any reason not to include that on consent? Resolution 635 is a request to schedule a public hearing for demolition of 667 Emerson Drive. Any reason not to include that on consent? Resolution 636 are budget transfers and amendments. Any questions about those? Any reason not to include them in consent? Resolution 637 is award of bid 2025024 for vehicle service parts, service and parts, CRS 5693 and 5694. Any questions about that award? Any reason not to grant that award via consent? Resolution 638 is the Bryan Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Amendment, CRS 5689. Any questions about the amendment? Any reason not to approve that via consent? Resolution 639 is the Bryan Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Amendment, CRS 5697. Any questions about that amendment? Any reason not to include that in consent? Resolution 640 is to authorize the supervisor to submit a smart growth planning grant application for the preparation of a new comprehensive plan. Any questions about authorizing the submission of the grant application? Any reason not to include that in consent? Resolution 641 is an authorization to install one fire hydrant on Cimarron Drive waterline replacement project, Town of Amherst project number 2025.014. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold that from consent? Resolution 642 is a change order number 1 and final for Ballman Road Waterline Replacement Project 2022.018, CRS 5709. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold that from consent? Resolution 643 is a police officer appointment, in police department. Any questions regarding that resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 644 is a memoranda of agreements for the police, Amherst Police Chief and Assistant Chief. Any questions regarding those agreements? Any reason to withhold them from consent? Resolution 645 is to authorize the planning department to expend funds from an Amherst Trust account to fund design costs for Tupelo Park. Any questions regarding that authorization? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 646 is a class instructor, Mary Ann Bayless, CRS 5652. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold that from consent? Resolution 647 is class instructor Loretta Kaminsky, CRS 5651. Any questions regarding the contract? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 648 is a class instructor Mary Jo Leclerc, CRS 5653. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 649 is a class instructor Tracy G. Zappia, CRS 5702. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 650 is a class instructor Douglas Rout, CRS 5701. Any questions regarding the resolution?
I do have one quick question.
Sure.
Melissa, what does an aviation instructor do at the senior center? Like, oh, history. Okay, I was like, are you flying fake planes in VR over there? I mean, all right, sounds great.
Any reason not to include that in consent? Resolution 651 is the State of New York contract for grants, New York State Office for Grants. Any questions regarding the resolution? Five seven zero seven. With that Scrivener's error, is there any reason not to include it in consent? Resolution 652, Town of Amherst bid 2023028, Control System Integrator bid extension for BlackRock Controls, CRS number 5690. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 653 is a bid of 2023029, bulk liquid oxygen for Lindy Incorporated, CRS number 5691. Any questions regarding that resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 654 is a storm sewer system grant application for MS4 mapping phase 3. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 655 is a user agreement for a car show, CRS 5706. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 656 is emergency purchase request for R22. Any questions regarding the emergency purchase? Any reason to withhold it from consent? If you don't know, we are upgrading our feature rank systems right now. We are expecting to apply for a grant for the 27 capital plan to start doing the next of for those units. We are trying to get out of the R22, going to compressed CO2. Just they're expensive units to replace, but certainly don't like buying R22. Communication 69 is a request for public hearing for 2577 Millersport Highway. Any reason not to grant that request per consent?
Yeah.
Communication 70 is the Amherst Symphony Orchestra fee waiver. Any reason not to grant that fee waiver via consent? Communication 71 is correspondence from Patrick Sheedy regarding 2190 and 2200 Worley Drive. Recommend we receive this, refer it to the town planning department, town attorney, and record it as part of the public hearing for that project. Any reason not to do that via consent? And correspondence, communication 72 is correspondence from Sean Hopkins, Esquire, regarding 2190 and 2200 Worley Drive. Again, recommend we receive this, refer it to the town planning department, town attorney, and record it as part of the public hearing.
I would also seek maybe the Department of Recreation. I know that in the letter, Mr. Hopkins requests relevant departments that will review a potential recreational trail.
Okay,
Yeah, so I don't know if there are any other ones, but that
I
was the
would-
one that I was thinking.
I would say
That goes to the Recreation Commission, but it wouldn't go until
go-
it was,
Until planning already
it
said
would
it?
go from planning to them as a
right,
rep. Okay,
it's part of the process.
so planning, attorney, and
What you previously said.
planning, attorney, and record as part of the public hearing. Any reason not to do that via consent? Okay, we are going to have a suspension item later regarding mitigation funds. We did receive mitigation funding from both Dix and now the Costco project. So as part of the mitigation funds, we are going to install collectively with New York State DOT. We're going to use some of that to replace control units along the boulevard signals. Ultimately, that's part of what our EIS talks about doing. It's part of our effort to move traffic in safe manners and help pedestrian crossings throughout that portion of the town. So we do have an executive session to adjourn to, again, regarding potential settlement of litigation and ongoing conversations regarding property dispositions and transactions for both Boulevard Mall and the former site formerly ACC property or the gun club. And I will motion to adjourn to executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.